Hi, this is Nicole Cervantes, and I'm going to be presenting on Chapter 8 of the handbook. And this chapter was on the Mountain Lake Colloquium and the Mountain Lake Reader. And it was written by Janet R. Barbett, Diane Purslin, Janet Robbins, and Sandra L. Stauffer. For the origins of the Mountain Lake Colloquium, it started out from Nancy Boone Alsbrook and Mary Goetz. And these two were actually having a late night conversation while they were attending the 1990 MENC. It was originally MENC, which is now NAFME, and while they were attending the conference, they saw a need for something different. And this something different was the Mountain Lake Colloquium. And so to start this off, they sent out a survey to those attending the MENC, and the survey covered many things about the colloquium, where it would be, special topics, and just help them gather information about what people would like in the Mountain Lake Colloquium. And then they actually made this happen very fast, and only 1 year after this MENC, where they originally had the idea, they had their first colloquium in 1991. And to their surprise even, there were 100 people in attendance, which is a very large number of people for the very first time it ever happened. There were 2 keynote speakers, special interest sessions, and panel discussions. And each day began with singing and ended with dancing. And this is a very important thing to them, is the singing and dancing aspect. Their focus was on a very non-competitive environment that would invite people to become friends, and not only friends, but colleagues that learn from each other. And they did this they had mountain walks and dancing and singing, and it really helped to become this very friendly environment for everyone to participate. And this actually improved even beyond this. They incorporated more activities and made revisions to how their speakers were, but even originally in 1991, there was already a great outline for how this Mountain Lake Colloquium, should be. So a little bit about the Mountain Lake Colloquium. It's a 3-day experience, and it occurs in late May of the odd-numbered years. So luckily enough for them, they got to skip 2020. One of their big mottos is traditions and transformations. So traditions as in all of the fun things that they get to do together to become friends, and their traditions are their bluegrass band, dancing, their mountain walks. All of these things are traditions for them. And then obviously a huge aspect is transformations. They want people to go there and have a change. So through this Mountain Lake Colloquium, their goal is to have people get new things, new information, new ideas that they can bring and apply into their careers. And this took place at a Mountain Lake Lodge near Pembroke, Virginia. And some of the revisions that I was discussing is instead of having one keynote speaker or many keynote speakers, but where it's just a speaker discussing topics alone in front of people, instead there was lively engagement. So the people in the audience would actually be discussing with the keynote speaker. And even beyond that, they had fireside discussions with the keynote speakers. And then there was also paper presentations from undergrad students and grad students, and many discussions on many topics. A lot of their topics are actually very focused on more general aspects, which is inviting to different careers, because although most people were elementary general music teachers, there were lots of others in this as well. And with the general info, it can apply to all the careers. So here's a picture of them at the Mountain Lake Lodge. You can see the lodge in the background with these beautiful trees, and this is a picture of the Mountain Lake Colloquium. A huge aspect of the Mountain Lake Colloquium is that they were in nature. And actually the founders of the Mountain Lake Colloquium said they chose this location because it is where nature and companionship could restore us, which I thought was a really beautiful quote. And this idea actually came from Friedrich Froebel, and this was in 1906. He did a study on children in nature, and with this study they found that children came to know the world and express themselves through nature. And so along with this, they were hoping that by bringing professionals into nature that it would allow them to be more comfortable to express themselves and to discuss with other people their ideas. A huge aspect of the Mountain Lake Colloquium is that it is polyvocal, as in there are many people who have their say in discussions. And so all are invited, thinkers, scholars, and musicians. Although a majority of people are elementary music general teachers, there are also instrumental and choral higher education teachers, graduate students, and undergraduate students, and even beyond this, they also invite people in other fields to be keynote speakers in the Mountain Lake Colloquium, which I thought was very interesting because for me personally, I think I like to hear from music educators, because if it's a conference for music educators, we want to hear from the people who actually have experience in music education. However, as I was reading through, I thought that there are some pros to inviting people outside of music education because they have a different perspective on things, and I think that's what they wanted to incorporate in being polyvocal, is that they wanted different ideas to be brought in that people weren't thinking of. So the last thing I wanted to touch on is the Reader, and this is a journal, and it was originally started by Liz Wing, who was the editor and primary architect. The goal of this was to capture and reflect the spirit and intentions of the Mountain Lake community. It included photos, poetry, and graphics, and it even evolved to digital in issues 5 and 6. So let me know what you guys thought about this Mountain Lake Colloquium. I certainly thought it was a great idea because bringing people into the mountains, it's very serene and invites people to discuss more, and how perfect is that for a colloquium?